All right, away we go. It is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. It's a victory edition. Special thanks, as always, to our partners, the Holy Grail. Get yourself down to the Grail. Check out the Bearcats, hopefully in a bowl game. Hopefully, the next time we watch the Bearcats is in the Cotton Bowl because they've beaten Tulane and then they've beaten UCF at Nippert Stadium. And then now, the winning streak is 34. And they're headed to the Cotton Bowl. But either way it goes, make sure you get to the Holy Grail at the Banks and have yourself some food, have yourself a couple drinks, and enjoy the excellent atmosphere at the best bar, sports bar in Cincinnati. Well, Dave.
Aloha.
Aloha and disaster averted. Let's not kid ourselves. The tone of this show, if they lost, would have been very different.
Would have been Tulane heavy.
Well, no, probably not. It probably would have been basketball heavy, but the tone itself would have been very different. Hold on a second.
Yes, they played a hello, Lamb Big. This time slot probably works quite well for you. Hello, Gray Bush Live. But yes, they second half especially played much better. When you run the make shots offense,
love the make shots offense.
Good things typically happen. When you seem to play with a ramped up level of effort and energy, good things seem to happen. But yeah, it was a good second half.
Here was my thing, Dave. I don't get into, me, I don't get into hyperbole. I don't get into bold claims and bold statements and all the hot takery that happens in the sports media these days. But let's be honest. That was as must-win a November game as this program has maybe ever played.
Well, yeah, I mean, you
for real.
What are my expectations supposed to be moving forward if you drop a game to a team that is 0-6, I think, at the
They're
time?
They're 0-6 now.
Oh, they're 0-6 now?
I think they're 0-6 now. They might be 0-7. I think, no, they're 0-6.
No, they lost 3 games by 1 point. None of those were in Maui, so they're.
But one of them was an exhibition game.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't know if they were kind of. Either way, they're Louisville's terrible. I don't know if they'll win 5 games this year.
They're bad, man. Yeah, 0-6 officially. 0-6.
That might be.
It's the first time they've started 0-6 since 1940-41 when they started 0-11.
I mean, that might be a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but who are are they going to win 1 or 2 games in the ACC?
Right. So, and it's the situation was definitely made worse by the fact that Northern is absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
They have won 2 games, UC and UC Claremont. They have lost to Akron, Toledo, Texas, Arlington, and Florida Gulf Coast, and only one of those games was single-digit losses. The Fighting Rick Broerings fucking suck. So if you lose to them and you lose to Louisville in a 4-game stretch, even with, Arizona and Ohio State in between, boy.
Right.
Right?
And honestly, they made a bunch of shots. They played hard in the second half, but the Arizona game was an 18-point game with a minute and a half left.
Sure, but I still will say they fought their ass off against Arizona.
They did, but I'm just
really good Arizona.
It is, but I'm just straight up giving the result,
sure.
And then
sure.
That's what the game was.
It was
then
18 points with 90 seconds left.
You follow that up with a game against Ohio State that losing that game by 5 is whatever, but the way they played in that game, and then you would turn around and lose this game, holy hell, that's a lot to take in pre-Thanksgiving, and and how you assess that moving forward.
You're like, if you lose this game, you're legitimately talking losing season.
Yeah. I mean, because you're like, who do they beat?
Right. Like, you're talking a season that is sub 500.
But they didn't, and kudos to them. There was still some of the same.
First half, it wasn't
Say,
pretty.
like, I was kind of like, the rebounding thing has been discussed a lot already.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you not rebound if you don't even try to rebound?
They're not a team that actively, aggressively pursues the glass. That is for sure.
Like, that's like, you can't say like they can't rebound if you don't even try to rebound. And it seemed like at points and certain players are like literally just not really trying unless the ball happens to bounce right to them.
Yeah. The first half was not good on the glass, as Louisville won the first half on the glass. Let's see.
It was like what? Plus
13.
plus 6?
20 to 13, so it's plus 7. And then the second half,
it was better in the second half.
Well, it was much better. It was 17 to 9.
I mean, I guess UC, right?
Yeah, UC had a 17 to 9 advantage. It ended up 30-29 UC. So they were out rebounded by 7 in the first half. They won the rebound battle by 8 in the second half. Lambig said, never been more excited to be 7th place. Ain't that the truth, man? 8th place, I'm telling you. This would have been...
I mean, I don't care what...
I would have been apoplectic because I would have had to have dealt with the basketball board.
I don't care what the field is or who's in the field. Like, if you go 0-3 out there, it's not good. Because anybody that gets invited out there is supposed to be...
good.
Of a certain level. Now, they're all not going to be top 15 teams or whatever, but, like, you don't get invited to the tournament unless you are of a certain caliber. So you're not, there's no...
right. Gray Bush, that's not true. OSU had like a 3-hour rest difference between the opening round and the second round. OSU played the 9 o'clock game. UC tipped at 11:30. Yes, there was a difference. And yes, it's really stupid to make a team that plays at 11:30 have to play.
Yeah, why did they...
5.
Why did OSU why did OSU play earlier? I guess somebody had
so
to,
initially,
right?
Yeah, somebody had to in that first game. But the problem is, at least from a competitive standpoint, whoever loses those games, the winners played last night. All 4 winners played last night. So then the losers all moved to the early bracket. Mm-hmm. So Ohio State played the first night game. UC played the second night game.
There's only so much you can do.
It's TV. It is what it is. But look, UC also probably played the first and third best teams in this event. If not, Ohio State played well. I mean, they handled Texas Tech pretty easily.
I would say Arizona, Creighton, and Arkansas are the 3 best teams.
Yeah, San Diego State's up there too. Obviously, they beat Ohio State. So Cincinnati played the first and 5th best teams.
They're going to play Arkansas, Arkansas, San Diego State.
Yeah,
now.
That's going to start it, right about now.
Arizona
the scheduling for the tournament was garbage. Look, man, the scheduling for the tournament was not garbage. The scheduling for what would you have felt better if UC had to play Creighton and Creighton and who lost the the first Arkansas game?
San Diego State, right?
No, San Diego State beat Ohio State.
I don't know.
Texas Tech. Did Texas Tech and Arkansas play in the first game? I think so. Whatever. But you would have had, if you were in the top bracket, you would have played 2. This is by far. Everybody talked about how awesome this tournament was.
Look at next year. Holy cow! Is
it bad or is it great?
It's incredible. North Carolina, Gonzaga. It's ridiculous. I think.
So yeah, it was a great tournament. But look, UC and Louisville were 3 pegs below the other 6 teams in this event. Let's just be honest. I watched UC play Arizona. I watched UC play Ohio State. My takeaway from those 2 games, Dave, it is sobering how far this roster needs to go.
Yeah.
That's just – you want me to be honest? Like, I'm a homer all the time. I don't talk about the truth all the time, blah, 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 blah. It was sobering how much more talent Arizona had. And even Ohio State, that was all transfers and young kids, essentially, outside of Zed Key, they didn't have a problem. Like, we talked about this morning. In the first half, Bryce Sensabaugh, who has been their scoring pop, scored in double digits every game. I don't know if he did today or not, but he scored 2 points in the first half. They still had other guys.
Well, yeah, I think he had 9 today because Justice Suey had 33.
Right. So there's a ways to go. Like, that's the takeaway from Maui. This roster still has a ways to go. And I will say this, though, to the idiots that are like, gut the entire roster to the studs, only keep like 4 or 5 guys, including Rayvon and James. There's 5 guys that are committed to the program right now, and that they should go out and get 8 more guys.
Yeah.
Let me explain something. Part of the major problem that this university is facing right now is that they have turned over half the roster in each of the past 4 seasons. Some of that because of coaching changes, some of that by necessity, but you cannot continue to just gut your program of everything every year. It's not how it works.
No, you have to be able to develop some pieces.
And you have to be able to here's what I don't love about the transfer portal. And I meant to look this up. Let's look it up live. Talk for a second, Dave.
Why not? Sure. So, but
Only
yeah,
just a second. I'm gonna have this ready.
I agree with you, though. Like, you can't build any sort of cohesion. You can't build any sort of stability when you're constantly doing that. And you see it. Especially in football, I think you're starting to see, as the portal becomes more of a thing, outside of USC, where they just added like the best quarterback and the best wide receiver in the portal, and then did some other nice things too. Like, these teams that have gone heavy in the portal, they're not being uber successful. You're seeing them drop games that you wonder. I mean, I heard this from the UCF side. Like, there is concern growing that they are becoming a portal program, and that you drop games like the Navy game because you have a bunch of new pieces all the time, and the same people aren't there together building and grinding and winning and experiencing things like a UC has. And that, yeah, we got this collection of talent, but like, when shit isn't going well, who are we looking to for leadership and to make a play and so on and so forth, things of that nature? Like,
who in the locker room after a bad practice is going to have the juice to be like, my blood, sweat, and tears are on these walls. Get your shit together. Because I guarantee it hits different coming from somebody that's been around for 3 months. People are going to look at him and be like, dude, you just got here.
Well, I would think most guys in that situation probably wouldn't even say anything.
I know, you're right. So here we go, Dave. Here's the exercise. Dan Skillings, recruit.
Yes.
Kalua Zekpe, transfer. Landers Nolly, transfer. Micah Adams-Woods, recruit. David DeJulius, transfer. Rob Finnessy, transfer. Josh Reed, recruit. John Newman, transfer. Jeremiah Davenport, recruit. Victor Locken, recruit.
Hensley, transfer.
Jared Hensley, transfer. Odio Guama, transfer. Sage Tolentino recruit.
It's
7-6.
Yeah, it's basically 50-50.
7-6. There are more transfers in this program right now than there are guys that were recruited to be Bearcats. I don't think that is a sustainable way long-term to win.
No, I don't either. I mean,
I don't mind supplementing. I'm not anti-transfer portal.
no, you can't be anti. Like you can't.
Right.
Like Clemson is even moving off of like the whole like we're not going to use the portal. Like
That's
you
dumb.
have to use the portal to some extent.
Right. That's dumb.
You know, you can't. And I think we're seeing that in football is like I've talked about on the board. I'm expecting, and this is not coming. I'm just expecting them to be more active in the portal because of the transition to the Big 12. And, you know, you're just not going to replace big-time proven talent with nothing but freshmen or nothing but like.
Right.
You have to bring in some people that have played. You have to bring in some people that are developed. Now, I'm never going to want to go to the extent of an SMU or a UCF or what. And USC might have only done it 1 year because Lincoln Riley was able to pull those guys, and he has the juice to do it. And now that he's there, they're probably going to go much more high school because why wouldn't you? But like,
right.
I'm never going to be like a 50-50 guy because if you're a 50-50 guy or thereabouts, we already know that half of those portal guys aren't going to pan out.
Right, exactly. So now you're a 25% guy on your own roster. Well, half of the high school kids aren't going to work out either.
Right.
So now 25% of your each class is the foundation of your program. I think it's a losing recipe.
Yeah, I mean, you have to play it because more and more are going to be in. I mean, once these games are over this weekend, and then once December 5th hits, it's going to be insane. But that doesn't like. But I also feel bad for the kids because that there's not going to be that many spots for the like. It's going to just keep getting worse and worse. Where these kids are not going to have
today 3,500 transfers in the portal in football.
I mean, are we counting FCS and FBS?
I don't know. The tweet I saw said last year there were 3,000 football entries into the portal, and this year they expect it to be somewhere between 3,500 to 4,000. So I went low.
I mean, 3,500.
Well, so 300, that seems a bit much just for.
That's 26 guys a team.
Yeah, that had to be all of college football.
That has to be FCS division. Like, there's no way 26 guys of the 131 Division 1 teams are transferring.
That's what I get for working
doing
too
math.
much and trying to do math. It's not. I just saw it in passing, and I was like,
but no, I mean, like, yeah, especially in basketball, it needs to be like a couple guys, 2 guys, 3 guys.
Yeah,
we need this specific thing. We need, and it's the same way in football, but you obviously have so many more bodies and
right.
whatnot. But like, you shouldn't be building roster depth through the portal. You should be adding impact guys like a starter or like a deficiency. Like, we need a shot blocker. He may not be a starter, but we need a shot blocker. Not like we need an 8th man. Like, because none of these high school kids have panned out. Like, we need a backup 4-man that might play 10 minutes a game.
Dave, what we're really missing is a 12th guy. Let's go get a new 12th guy.
Yeah.
That's why they're in the predicament that they're in now. Look, this roster is already, you have 4 seniors, super seniors, and you have 4 COVID, seniors that have an extra year. I would guess probably safe bet half of those move on. You have 6 spots already coming open. You've got 2 signed high school kids. I would guess at least 1, maybe 2 more high school kids coming in. Go get 2 or 3 guys, 2 guys out of the portal, 3 guys out of the portal, and then you're where you need to be. Because then you have Reed, Skillings, Tolentino, James, Griffith, another high school kid, And now you got 5 or 6 guys at the core of your roster that are kind of the start of Cincinnati, what Cincinnati looks like in the Big 12.
And you'll need with that group, you'll need older guys because you just need some guys with experience. Like those guys are going to be first or second year guys.
Right.
So you'll need some guys that have played, some guys that have been in situations. So yeah, but like as those guys get older, then that number of players in that level should diminish that you need.
You guys are going to have to get better at reading what I say on the board and not taking it out of context. I said there weren't a lot of high school kids left right now. But guess what happens?
By the way, if you don't already have access to the boards, you can get access right now with the Black Friday sale, 75% off for the year for signing up with a new subscription to BearcatJournal.com.
There you go, 75% off right now. So you can misinterpret what I say for your own instead of having other people do it for you. I said there's not a lot right now. I think there's 10 kids left in the top 100, Dave. There's not a lot of high school kids left right now to go after. But guess what happens? You get to the spring, coaches get fired, guys go back on the market, players reclassify. There are things that happen, or somebody has a great high school season that you're like, ooh, I think this guy might be able to be, maybe a developmental guy to help us. So just because I said they're not recruiting they're not heavily involved with any 2023 high school kids right now, does not mean that doesn't change in the spring. This is recruiting. It changes every damn day. Dave, how many times do we have a conversation on one day, and then the next day we have a conversation that completely contradicts the conversation that we had the day before? I think that happened yesterday and today, didn't it?
Today you called me 4 times in a row.
I did. There was stuff to talk about.
Another thing. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's always like they're never not recruiting. There's always things that happen. Like, you've mentioned on the board, and we don't need to go into it, the junior college possible target, other reclassification targets. I mean, guys, I saw an article. I think Jeff Borzello, I didn't read it, but put it out about some kid at NC State that went from barely in the top 100 to now he might be the best pro prospect
right
in college over 18 months. And came back to school, and everyone's like, why did he come? Now they're all wondering why he came back to school. And it's like, things happen. You can identify guys later. Like you said, coaching changes. It's just, there's no reason to think that it's we can say they're not currently recruiting anybody, but that doesn't mean that they're not looking and keeping tabs on people.
Right. And what I'm saying is they're not, other than Davion Thomas that we've talked about at length, who is a JUCO point guard. He's at Kilgore College. They've been recruiting him for a long time. He's been a name that's on the radar. There's a big man down in Florida, a high school kid that's kind of a late bloomer, center that they're looking at. You can get that name on the board. It hasn't progressed super far yet, but they're watching him. And we've been very big about we're not going to just tell you stuff that's not happening. We're not going to report things that are in the very early stages. If there's some legs to it, if we get to visits are starting to get set up, things like that, then we'll talk about that. But I'm not chasing around every ooh, they sent this kid a text message today. Oh, they're in his DMs. They're in so-and-so's DMs. I think that is clickbait. Maybe I'm crazy because it probably would get us a lot more clicks on this business. Because then what happens is they make contact with the kid, and after 2 or 3 days a week, They figure out, the kid figures out, I'm not interested. The school figures out that's not a guy that we're all that,
And then all we're having to do is answer questions of what happened to this guy, what happened to that guy, and we just have to continuously be like, yeah, it's not going to work out, or they decided it wasn't a good fit.
Right.
Like, there's no point in having that back and forth for no reason. I think it'd be just more beneficial. Like when stuff is serious, then we talk about it. But it's kind of like with the portal now. Like we're football, we're putting a few names up, but it's like we don't know if that's like we absolutely want this guy, but we're gonna walk on broken glass to get him, or if it's just like we sent him, we introduced ourselves and we'll see, if he's interested in us too.
Right. So let's get back to Louisville, Cincinnati.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, I have an answer.
Dan Skillings.
He's a baby deer.
He does. Offensively, he seems to be like in the mindset of like whenever I touch the ball, I have to do something with it. But defensively, athletically, and rebounding, I feel like he's actually trying, and I can't say that for many other guys, especially on the glass besides Vic. Do you live with some of the things freshmen do and some of the things that make you want to put your hair out offensively because of mainly the rebounding element of it? Just because it just seems like it doesn't matter who these guys play. They're not going to be a good rebounding team, and he at least gives you an athletic wing and a guy that attacks the glass and is willing to do it.
Yes, I would like to see Dan in the 20 to 25 minutes a night range. The problem there, and we know the fix to this if you insist that there's a fix. He plays the 2. And it's hard to say specifically if they've asked him to do play the 3.
Yeah.
Play the 2, or what specifically they're asking him to do, because those 2 positions are kind of interchangeable. And I haven't charted who exactly he's on the court to know this is obviously DeJulius played 35 minutes tonight and Dan played 13. So he played some away from the 2 because.
And I'd say most of those were in the first half. It didn't seem like he played as much in the second half.
And I can hold on.
And I don't know. I could be. It just felt that way watching it. That could be wrong, but it could be pretty even.
First half, Dan played 8 minutes.
So 5.
Second half, he played 5. Yeah.
I know we're gonna get virtually no rebounding from Micah, DeJulius, and JD.
Well, here's the problem,
which makes it
today
hard.
Today at least, DeJulius had 26. Nolly had 21. So those are the 2 spots that you're going to get him in. Dave played 35 minutes. Landers played 31 minutes. So a combined 9, 5, 14 minutes where, those guys weren't on the floor in the whole game.
Right.
So it becomes difficult if those 2 are playing well, unless you move Dave to point guard. And so far, they haven't done that.
Yeah. I mean, JD didn't shoot the ball well, but he had a good floor game.
I thought he played a good floor game.
He had 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals.
And
Micah had 3 rebounds, 5 assists, only 1 turnover. JD didn't have any turnovers. But typically though, I would say 6 is on the high end for him. Micah usually, I would guess 3 is on the high end. And Dave just doesn't rebound because he's a perimeter guy and he's shooting a lot of shots.
So on Jeremiah, people have complained, and I believe rightfully so in a lot of ways, that the offense, especially against Ohio State, was stagnant. And I agree. What happened in the second half when there was better ball movement, Dave? Jeremiah Davenport had 5 assists. People are like, run offense. Well, they're running offense. The players aren't executing. They're not passing. So a guy like how many times have we seen Jeremiah had a pass for a dunk in the second half where he caught it like just up the baseline, drove baseline, and then went up like he was going to shoot, dropped it off for a dunk. Well, 90% of the time in the past, he has shot that, right?
Right.
And generally, that's not a shot he makes a lot of. So they are running offense. Dave is a ball stopper. Jeremiah is a ball stopper. Landers is less of a ball stopper, but still kind of a ball stopper. So it is very hard to run offense when your main three perimeter guys are guys that stop the ball, right?
Right.
Like that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, I mean, Dave stops the ball, he gets into his dribble game and works the shot that way.
Jeremiah takes the shot or takes two dribbles and takes the shot.
Yeah.
Landers, we're still figuring out. I think we're still figuring out what Landers' game is. 1, 2, guys are still trying to adjust the fact that Landers tries to make some tough passes. And he's got some guys that can't catch those tough passes on the other end. But that's why against Ohio State, the ball stopped. Because it got to guys that just stopped running the offense. Like the offense is still running. If you watch the game, the players aren't stopping and watching. The offense is running while they stand there with the ball. That's one guy being a ball stopper. That's not the offense not being in place. The offense is in place. One guy has just decided, okay, I've got the ball now, and the offense stops right here. They didn't do that in the second half. When they didn't do that in the second half, guess what? The offense looked a lot better.
Yeah.
I get it because, again, this is something I had to deal with as I was starting this job, Dave. I thought I knew a shit ton about basketball. And then I started sitting with Hep Cronin and watching basketball practice and realized I didn't know I wasn't seeing what was happening.
Right.
Why? Because when you watch basketball, what do? You
just watch the person with the ball.
You watch the person with the ball, and you're not paying attention to any of the other things that are happening. So if you're watching a team with ball stoppers, you know what you think? They're not running any offense. No, they're just got some guys that aren't going to pass.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I get it. Like, I understand why people are frustrated by it because they're watching what's actually happening. Like, the ball is where it's happening more often than not. But it's not what they're complaining about is not a result of what's actually happening. What they should be complaining about is, hey, why didn't you catch it, take 2 dribbles, draw the defense, and make a pass for a dunk? Because that's what the offense was designed to have happen.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you caught it, you took 1 dribble, or you caught it, stared a guy down for 3 seconds, and then shot a contested flat-footed shot in his face that missed. That's bad offense, of course. I agree. But that doesn't mean the design of the offense it was bad. It meant that the guy with the ball in his hands made a selfish play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That part just drives me nuts.
No, I agree. I think it's with Landers now and Dave. I don't know if he's kind of willing to morph his role a little bit, but I feel like JD can take advantage of some things and kind of be more of a slashing type of guy versus a standstill but shooting guy. And
he's not great off the bounce is kind of.
But I just mean him, his movement, not necessarily he just kind of floats, and because the other 2 guys are going to be mainly around the perimeter.
Yeah,
and then you can get the standstill shots off of them when they try to create a little bit, and you just can't have 3 guys that kind of not do the same thing, but kind of
But
play
they all
that.
three catch the ball and just like kind of stand when they catch the ball.
Right.
And like at the highest major level, especially like against a Chris Holtmann team, like Ohio State last night. If you give them, like if you catch the ball and hesitate for a second and a half, you know what happens?
All the rotations are back where they're supposed to be. Like
everybody recovers, everybody is set.
You're not getting anybody out of position. It's very easy to play defense when you just stay when three of your guys just kind of like don't move a lot.
Right. Well, they all move a lot without the ball. It's just as soon as they catch it, everything stops for them.
Right.
And then you can just say, okay, I got him. Like they're still running off screens and still running the motion backside part of the offense. But if the ball's not moving, then they're just essentially in help side defense.
I mean, obviously you want him to have more than 3 points and shoot better than 1 for 7, but like if I got like 8 to 12 points and roughly the same floor game from JD, I think that'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's not the best. I mean, he can get super hot, but he's not the best shooter. And if you're going to have two guys that you know, Dave and Landers went 18 for 31. Now that's probably a little bit more than what they normally would do.
If they're going to make 18 of 31, go 18 of 31 every night. I'll take it.
But just say it's 15 of 31 or 14 of 31. That's still good, considering they're going to shoot it. I mean, they shot 22 threes and made 11. So, I mean, they're going to shoot high volume threes. So you don't need JD to be a high volume shooter. You need him to get 6 rebounds, get 5 assists, get 2 steals, get to the freaking foul line. Again, we don't get to the line at all.
5 free throws on the entire night against Louisville. That's
where I see them where he can help the team the most is being that type of a player. Now I don't know if that's in his game. I don't know if that's in his head, if that's what he wants to be. But like, you know, if he can give me 5 boards a night, 6 boards a night, be a facilitator, you know, from a wing position. You know, don't let the ball. You know, his go-to is get the ball. If the shot's not there, pound it into the floor a couple times, and then still shoot it.
Right. Okay. So we've got some good questions here. If DDJ is a ball stopper, does that end the discussion of point guard minutes?
I think it does the opposite. It makes him then be more of a distributor.
Well, yeah. Well, but isn't that the problem? On a team that's devoid of, like, you have 2 scorers. You have Dave and you have Landers. So if you ask him to stop being a ball stopper and be more of a point guard, you're taking the risk of him going from the ability to score 26 points to his ceiling being, 15?
Right. No, that's what we saw, you know, last year.
2 years ago.
Well, 2 years ago.
When they forced him into playing point guard.
Right, it's a give and take because then you're probably a better rebounding team though if he's at the point. But how much better are you really going to be?
Right.
Versus the taking it, you know, the deduction in what he, you know, his scoring.
You're asking him not to think about being on the floor to score. If you're asking him to play point guard. Yeah. That was the great struggle with when he first got here, because they were asking him, and he was willing. It wasn't like he was fighting it. Like he was willing to be like, okay, I'll be your point guard, and I'll look for assists, and I'll move the ball, but now I'm not, because his best. I've never like. This isn't something UC's really. I can't remember the last time UC had a guy that their best shot was the step back jumper. Yeah. And the way he sets it up, and he gets guys off balance, and he gets them a little bit like where he's going to go downhill. They take a 1 step back. He takes 2 steps back and hits a step back jumper in your face. There's been a lot of guys that have taken a lot of step back jumpers in their time in Cincinnati. There hadn't been a lot of guys that made them. Dave is uncanny at his ability to make the step back jumper. But in order to make the step back jumper, you have to be a ball stopper.
Yeah, and that's
set it up. You had, like, by definition, to set it up.
And it's hard to do if you're a point guard, because in the flow of the set, you don't know if the ball's going to come back to you necessarily, and to do something like that.
And then the next question: does that mean West just has to live with it because you need their scoring? Yes.
Yeah, basically.
Because let me ask you this, Norbeck, BC. What did it look like when Dave DeJulius scored 1 point and Landers Nolly scored 2 points against Ohio State?
They just don't have a roster where those guys can even. I mean, obviously, you can't. Nobody has a roster where your two best players can score 3 combined points. But, like, they don't have a roster where those two guys can score 20 combined points.
Well, it's like we talked about with Ohio State with Bryce Sensabaugh. He scored 2 points in the first half last night, and Ohio State's offense was still fine. And then he scored 15 points in the second half, or 17 points in the second half, whatever it was. And all of a sudden, Ohio State went from a close game to winning by 28.
Well, and Sean McNeil did the same thing. He had 2 in the first half and 20 in the second half.
Right. So, like, that's, if you
in their first game, I think.
Yeah, in their first game. He didn't do much against Cincinnati, but that's because other guys did. And then guess what happened tonight? They had a guy score 33. So you're night to night. Ohio State's got 6, 7 guys that we haven't talked about. Zed Key. 6, 7 guys, 5, 6 guys that can score on any given night 20, 22, 33 points. Cincinnati's got 2, 3 maybe with JD. And have a game like they did, I mean, last night or yesterday afternoon, whatever the hell it was. Jeremiah hit 2 threes to start the game. First minute and a half. He scored 2 points the rest of the game. You know what those 2 points were? Technical foul free throws for flopping. So outside of those 2 threes he hit to open the game, he scored 2 points, and DeJulius and Nolly combined for 3. They scored 5 points out of the first 90 seconds of the game between their 3 biggest offensive threats. You are going to get your ass kicked every time that happens.
Yes, you are.
And look, it sucks because when they're cold, anyone can beat us. Yep. I agree. Like, you're missing what I'm saying, Norbeck. In the second half, there was more ball movement, and that's why the offense looked better. There are ways for you to do that, even with 2 ball stoppers, but it requires Mike Adams-Woods, Jeremiah Davenport, like those guys, to be the guys that are willing to say, okay, I'm going to take 2 dribbles, draw the defense, and pass.
Yeah, I mean, they had the couple dump downs for dunks. It's like, if you're going to take the 2 dribbles, that can't result in a bad shot or a stop and holding the ball around, and then turn. It has to be like a forward 2 dribbles, an advancing dribble, and to where you're forcing somebody else besides the person that's guarding you to make a decision, to say, do I need to come help or not? Because that's the problem, is a lot of the times the dribbling that they do, it doesn't make the other 4 guys playing defense do anything different. They can still basically guard their guy. You're not
forcing help. You're not, like, that's how you beat a defense with ball movement. You force help and then you beat the help.
So, yeah, I mean, they're going to go through nights of the bad shooting. I mean, they're just not that good of a shooting team to not do it. You hope that they don't have these wild swings of 17 threes, and then the second half tonight versus the whole Ohio State game and the second half of NKU. Like, you can't have these massive disparities, but it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of, like, can you get to the line a little bit more to supplement that? Can you rebound a little bit better? to supplement that when you're not, when your two best players aren't shooting 50% from three on 22 attempts.
Bearcat 12 says, my concern is I don't know if these players have the ability to do those things against better competition. Me either. I think it's more of a Jimmy's and Joe's case than X's and O's. That's what we talked about right off the jump. I watched this team play Arizona. I watched this team play Ohio State, and I walked away with the very sobering reality that they have a whole bunch more better players than UC does. Like 1 through 9, 1 through 10. Maybe UC's got guys that are competitive 1 through 3, 1 through 4, but Wes has not had a chance to build the middle to the back of that roster yet. Because that's where it got bad. Is when it was, the 4, 5, 6 guys against their 4, 5, 6 guys. And their 4, 5, 6 guys were significantly better.
Yeah, the problem is if your starters aren't, if your main guys aren't on one from the jump, and then you have to take them out because you obviously can't play them the entire game, and the other team brings in their bench guys, there's not as big of a drop-off between their bench guys and our bench guys. So
there's not as big of a drop-off between their bench guys and their starters.
Well, that's what I meant to say. But yes, I mean, that's when you get that's what I've noticed is you're down 4, 5, 6, something like that, and then you have to change the subs, and the subs are never just keeping it steady until you can put your main guys back in. It's always going to 10, 12, 14.
Right.
Something like that.
All right, we got to get moving.
Yes.
We're 46 minutes in. I don't have anything to say about Temple. Do you?
No.
Okay. Just that I'm glad that they don't ever have to go back to Philly again.
Yeah, check another one off. They did what they needed to do. Yeah.
Are you having a drink tonight, Dave?
No, I'm drinking Gatorade.
Why? It's the night before Thanksgiving.
Because what am I going to do with a drink at 10:40?
Drink it?
I'm not going to drink 12 of them.
You should have started at 7:30 like I did.
I was doing stuff.
I don't get many chances to actually drink anymore, and I don't have to be up tomorrow until 10 or so.
Yeah, so
I'm having some beers tonight. Cheers, everybody.
I'm sure I'll make up for it tomorrow.
I also had to make sure I started at 7:30 in case they lost, because there was no chance I was going to get to 9:30 and they lose and I'm sober. That wasn't going to happen. That absolutely wasn't going to happen. Hensley fell off a cliff this tourney. Yeah, it was a rough 3 days for him. But before we get done, I do want to say, you got to give Vic a lot of credit. This was the Victor Locken coming out party this week.
I hope that's what we see going forward.
Well, I mean, it was again 2 of the games were Arizona and Ohio State, right?
Yeah, I mean, but the one dude that I forget, he's got the hyphen name, but he transferred from Tennessee. He basically started every game for UT last year. He's still he's still an athletic big and can pose some problems. The rest of the team, not very good, but
Woof. But I mean, Vic rebounded. He made post moves. He was intelligent. When he got the ball at 16 feet and there was nobody there, he was looking to go get a bucket. There was a light switch that went on with him, as the weekend or the week grew, where the confidence was I can do this. I'm now he's got to stop with the idiot fouls. His first foul on the sideline, 3 minutes, 4 minutes into the game, whatever it was, he just bumped a guy standing on the sideline 40 feet from the rim. That's got to stop.
They're going to call it every time.
Yeah. He clearly bumped him. It was and his 5th foul. I got a lot of people complaining about his 5th foul. You have 4 fouls and you've got a guy coming into the lane and you get caught bent over with your hand in a cookie jar.
Yeah, I mean,
Stay-
I don't. Right, it's
Stay
not.
solid. Stay up. Fifth foul
You could-
wasn't bad.
right, like,
Well,
I
fifth
don't-
foul was bad on Vic, if that's what you're saying. I agree.
I think it was like I didn't love the call, but you can't put yourself in that situation when you have 4 fouls because you know they're going to call that. You know, anytime a big reaches in on a guy cutting on a pass like that, they're never going to be like, "Oh yeah, he got all ball." Like they're always going to call that.
Well,
So-
and he did get all ball, but the ball handler continued into his body, which is what happens when you put your hand in a cookie jar like that.
Yeah,
down
so
the
you just
rim.
can't. You can't. In your 4th foul, you have to. When you have 4 fouls, you just kind of have to play it totally safe and wall up and hope that the guy doesn't make a move or doesn't make a shot. Like you can't be aggressive like that.
DDJ and Nolly have to get to the foul line until they do so with regularity. You see, we'll have wild swings of inconsistency. I agree, but I don't know what about either of those two in their games say they're going to draw a lot of fouls. I don't know what about their games.
You don't get a lot of foul calls if your go-to move is a step back 18-footer.
Right. that's not a move that and Dave has drawn fouls on that. Because when he gets guys to jump, then he'll get into them.
Right, but that's like once every other game.
Right. The refs are terrible. I don't care. Jizzle had 38 in the game tonight. Great for Jizzle. Let's go to we got to get to Tulane. But we're 50 minutes in. I know you guys. The basketball game just ended. I know.
This will be lovely podcast tomorrow when everyone's driving to their families for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You know, dreaming of all the terrible food they're about to eat.
We'll get to some Thanksgiving. I want to get to some Thanksgiving.
We can definitely
stuff
get into my takes on that later.
You're not a Thanksgiving guy at all. You hate Thanksgiving.
Hate it.
You hate. This is not an act. Dave fucking hates Thanksgiving. You don't do Thanksgiving.
Well, I mean, we do. I mean,
but you don't do American Thanksgiving.
No, Rachel and I made a lasagna tonight. That's what I'll be eating tomorrow.
All right. Tulane. I'm terrified.
I'm not.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better.
I mean, I guess here's the question: how many points or what is Nippert worth?
Lately, this year, a touchdown. I'll go a touchdown.
Okay, if Nippert's worth a touchdown, I'm not sure what you're worried about.
You don't think so? They've averaged 27 points this year at Nippert.
I don't think I would be surprised if the winner of this game gets more than 24.
Okay, so you think if they get to 27, that's it? I guess I talked to somebody about this today in the athletic department, and we were just shooting the shit, like having a casual conversation. And I said, look, I worry about the Tulane defense because, and maybe this is, you can tell me this is me overreacting or not. They shut down Kansas State. And Kansas State is the number 1 offense in the Big 12.
They did.
That concerns me.
But they also looked like absolute
dog shit on
against
offense.
UCF.
Yeah.
Defensively. And and then they scored 17 points. Kansas State has a good defense. But I don't know. I mean, what do you want to talk first? Like their offense, their defense, or like?
Let's ask the question that everybody is here for. Does it matter to you if it's Evan or Ben when you talk about who you think is going to win this game?
Well, I'm looking at it strictly from Evan is playing because we know what the offense and everything looks like if Ben plays.
Sure.
Like he's played 10 and a half games. Like I'm looking at it as like, what do they do differently if Evan plays that they wouldn't be doing if Ben plays? And how does that affect their defense? So their defense has 2 really good linebackers. and it's I don't want to say it's weird. They're good. Like they're 16th in yards per play allowed. But other than that, like nothing jumps out to me as like this is why the defense is good. So they're just like very sound, but they
show
don't
a lot of different looks, right?
They don't get to the passer and they don't create plays in the backfield. And I think if Evan is the quarterback, that is a huge plus for us.
Because they struggled with John Rice Plumlee.
Well, they have 17 sacks this year, which is 105th in the country, and they're 112th in tackles for loss. So they're not this like uber aggressive playing on your side of the line of scrimmage type of front.
Okay.
Now their linebackers, Dorian Williams, 4 sacks, Nick Anderson, 1.5 sacks, linebacker Darius Hodge, 4 sacks. So like their linebackers are the ones getting the sacks. I mean, that's 9.5 out of 17 right there.
Yeah.
So to me, it's from our standpoint, it's how do you change the equation? How do you make them account for Evan as a runner? Like, you have to have +1 in the run game to make them play a similar game to what they did against John Rice Plumlee and UCF, and they had no answer. And obviously, John Rice Plumlee is a different player than Evan. He's got the experience of starting all year and all the things that go into that. But like, he's the only real running quarterback that they've played this year. In that vein, like I guess when
RPO read
I guess when they play Kansas State, they brought Adrian Martinez is a runner, and they have Deuce Vaughn, and so they have to be able to, I think, have like at least 10 plus designed runs for him. And just do things off of that, and runs with Trey, get the just they're already going to be getting a bunch of different looks because Evan hasn't really given anybody looks yet if he plays.
Yeah, but I have to think on the flip side, Tulane is going to show everything in their arsenal.
Yeah, but that won't be anything different than what he hasn't seen anything. So what is that?
Well, it's much easier to play against a defense that just like is set and you know what you're looking at, as opposed to a defense that is looking to mix everything up and try to confuse you. Right?
I guess. I mean, if you've never seen anything, isn't it all confusing?
Come on, Dave. Come on. You're rationalizing very clearly now. How is their pass defense run defense split?
Let's see. What did I have here? They are. That's the thing, is they're not like, they're in like the 40s in both nationally. They're not. They've just been really sound, and they don't get a ton of interceptions. It's not. They're not like shutting you down, and I think in the pass game they do some stuff with their DBs, moving guys around, giving different looks in that sense. But they're, if you're only producing a low number of sacks, it's not like you're showing all these different blitzes and stunts and overloads and pressures that teams aren't able to account for.
But they mix coverages. They mix back end.
I would say it's more coverage than it is stuff with the front seven.
So explain this to me, because I'm gonna act like a fan that doesn't pay attention to a lot of this stuff. They don't sack the quarterback. They don't get tackles for loss on running plays, and they don't create and generate turnovers. But they are still a top 30, 40 defense.
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
I'm trying. I mean, third down defense is 49th. Red zone defense is 64th.
Okay, this doesn't make any none of what you're saying makes any damn sense.
I know. Okay. Man. Total defense, yards per play. They're 16th, 4.87 yards per play.
So that's where they're great.
Yeah. I mean, just on a play.
They may not get you in the backfield, but they get you at the line of scrimmage, basically.
Like rush defense. They are in average yards per carry, 48th. Like, that's fine. It's 3.83. Like, it's good. It's not like holy cow. Pass defense. I usually go by like opponent rating. Like, they're 39th, so they're good there, but like we're 11th in rush defense, yards per rush. We're 14th. Like, basically their defense is really good, and then we're as good or better in like every metric. Like, if you go by SP plus, we're 20th, they're 27th. Offense, we're 66, they're 48. Defense, they're 15. I'm sorry, we're 15, they're 31st. Now, there is a bigger discrepancy in like Sagarin, efficiency, things like that. But that's not a surprise. We haven't been efficient offense all year.
Right.
So, like, Sagarin, we're basically tied. They're 38th, we're 39th. FPI, we're 33rd, they're 32nd. I mean, it's going to be a very close game. I just think it's a low-scoring game. And I think we do have the advantage in punting, which we have the advantage in punting over everybody that we play.
Pretty much everybody, yeah.
I mean, like, Mason averages about 6.5, almost 7 yards per punt more than their punter.
So in hidden yards, you see, and that's where, like, I think the special teams advantage should be significant here for UC.
Yes, in the I don't know how this is calculated, SP plus special teams, we're 16th and they're 77th.
Right.
But I mean,
I don't understand how UC's only 16th.
Everything for them, to me, starts and ends with Tajay Spears. Their running back, he's very much like Keaton Mitchell. Almost 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, 6.4 yards a carry. They have two other running backs that'll play significantly. Both have rushed for over 300 yards this year.
So let's before we get to let's set the stage for their offense. They basically run a shotgun read option, triple option, right?
Yeah, it's less.
It's kind of like Coastal Carolina. They will throw it.
It's not really. I would say it's just more of like a shotgun
read option.
Yes, it's not. It's not like triple. They're not like motioning guys, and the quarterback isn't moving to pitch and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a run heavy offense that Tajay Spears has speed to get outside. You have to do a good job containing him like they did in the first half against Keaton Mitchell, and not in like they did in the second half. I mean, he's got
trash.
He's got some crazy games and some crazy stat lines where he's got like 8 carries for 115 yards, stuff like that. Michael Pratt only throws the ball on average 24 times a game. So if you're talking 60, 70, if not more snaps,
right?
They're a 2/3 running team.
Yeah.
They have 3 receivers that each have 27 catches. That's the most on the team. But all 3 of them average at least 15 yards per catch. So
they hit you like they lull you to sleep with the run game and then hit you in the passing game.
Yeah, I mean, he's 65% passing, 20 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He has been sacked 21 times. So you can get to him. And he is a runner, and he has 9 rushing touchdowns, but it's more out of scrambles than it is like designed stuff.
Yes.
So you do have to keep an eye out for that. Tight end has 5 touchdowns, so that's excuse me, something to worry about. We don't really face very many tight ends in this conference that produce to that level.
Yeah. Tyler, he says, I've seen different metrics. UC ranked in top 10 in special teams. Yeah, that's why I just don't trust SP plus special teams. That's all I was saying with that. Having some fun with it. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Right. You don't know. I don't know. And from what I've watched in the special teams, it's hard to believe there's 15 teams that have had better special teams this year
Yeah.
than UC.
I'm sure a bunch of it, I'm sure returns come into effect a lot. Like if you have a team that's returned a couple punts or
But Ryan Montgomery has been super effective as a punt returner.
Oh, for sure. But if in college football anymore, if you were able to return 2 punts for a touchdown,
what teams have 2 punt returns for a touchdown?
I don't know. Here, I'll tell you.
Okay. I don't believe there's any.
Punt returns. UCF has 2. Oregon State has a guy with 2. TCU has a guy with 2. Louisiana Lafayette has a guy with 2.
Shit. Are those teams all ranked ahead of UC in special teams?
Well, this doesn't make any sense. The UCF guy, it says he has 1 return for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns. How is that possible?
I'm sensing some shenanigans here.
Here, punt return touchdowns. San Diego State has returned 3.
There we go.
Alabama,
number 1.
Alabama, Oregon State, Kansas State, South Carolina, Louisiana Lafayette, Bowling Green, TCU, UCF, MTSU, Army, and Virginia Tech have each returned 2 punts for touchdowns.
I would have lost that bet in historic fashion. I would have set the over-under at 2.5 and taken the under. It was like 10.
Yeah, I mean, so it's the same formula it's been. Be better on 3rd and down in red zone, because red zone's been awful from a touchdown standpoint. Now they do a good job converting, but they not touchdowns. You're on mute. But their 3rd down offense, 39%. That's not great. Man, I can't stop coughing. Excuse me. You're on mute, sir.
The UCF guy had 2 touchdowns on 1 return, Brian says. That's awesome. You can do that. If you can figure out a way to get 14 or 12 points on 1 touchdown or one punt return.
It's like the mega ball in the old MTV Jock Jams games.
Right. He returned it from the coffin corner, so they gave him 2.
Yeah, but if they can they can continue the 3rd down defense, because their 3rd down offense is a little better than middle of the road. Their red zone offense, they get to the red zone a lot. They've got 55 trips, 39 touchdowns, so that's 40th. They keep you out of the red zone. They've only allowed 29 trips, 59 touchdowns or 15 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And we're better off when we don't get into the red zone. So
yeah, UC wants to score from 21 yards out.
But both of obviously UC's not run the ball well. They want to, but they can't, or they, whatever. Yeah. But this is a defense. This is a that same type of alignment that they ran against Temple. I could see that some more. I mean, this is like a get all your best dudes on the field, stop the run, and get them in passing situations and turn the boys loose and see what happens type of thing.
Right.
And it's figure out a way to run the ball, get Evan involved in the run game if he's the quarterback, make them have to account for him. You just have to make them think of him as a true extra player, basically, as a true runner. He has to keep the ball in RPOs. He has to or read options. He has to do those things to make them account for him, or it doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
Right.
You're just sacrificing passing with a guy that's not gonna, use that if you don't allow him to use that part of his game.
Right. He has to play fearless, right? I thought he played a little scared at times. I know there was some promise in how he played last week against Temple, but I thought when pressure was anywhere near him, he was just content. I'm gonna take the sack. I think he's got to be a little bit more confident this week.
Oh yeah,
but as you said, Temple is one of the best sack teams. Their defense is trash, but they create a lot of havoc.
Right.
And Tulane does not do that.
No, they don't. And I think too, a lot of that is the situation. Like no reps leading up to the game.
Yeah.
Coming in the second half of the game, essentially. Like there's only so much, and a lead in a game that it's way more important to just win than to see what he can do, see how much of the playbook he can handle along those lines. Like they weren't losing that game as long as he didn't,
screw it up,
do some dumb shit. So
right, and he didn't. He took the sacks. He played within what they were asking him to do.
Right.
John White says this could be a trajectory-defining moment for Evan. Absolutely. If he plays and he gets UC to the conference championship game, that absolutely changes his trajectory, right? Because then what? He beats a ranked team to get UC to the conference championship game. That is a trajectory-defining moment. Absolutely. How different is Ben Bryant's trajectory if he beats Memphis at Memphis in 2019? Doesn't that change the trajectory of Ben Bryant?
Oh yeah.
If he has to play, if Ben can't go, and Evan plays well, and Cincinnati wins, of course that changes the trajectory. Of course. I think you're going to disagree with Tyler here. He says, I don't see this being a game that Cincinnati can run, basing it off the Kansas State game.
I mean, I don't really look. I was just, in fact, looking at the just the box score stats. So obviously, there's way more to it than that. I don't know how they beat Kansas State. Pratt threw 2 interceptions. Kansas State ran for almost 200 yards. Didn't turn the ball over from what I can see. Now, Adrian Martinez didn't have a very good game. He was like 50% for 150 yards. But like, it wasn't like – it was clearly just like nobody did much of anything. And, they scored 2 touchdowns and Kansas State only scored 1, which is, I mean, I can see that game happening. That type of a game happening. Like, I think it can be like neither team can really get anything going from a sustainable drive standpoint, and you kind of play this field position game to see who breaks first. And we would assume that they would break first in that sense because our special teams has been what it's been. And that's the worried thing, though. Like, are you going to get the explosion plays with Evan that you would get from Ben in the passing game? Or is this going to have to be, a different style of running game? Like, the running game hasn't worked, but I don't think you're going to see the same type of a running game if Evan's the quarterback.
No, it's going to be a completely different style of running game because there's going to be a threat to also run. Like, the ends aren't going to be able to crash. Like, you're going to have a guy.
Right, which is why he has to keep the ball on, which I felt he could have kept some in the Temple game. And maybe
there were at least 2 in the Temple game. I thought the end crashed and he had the
But at the same time, he very well could have been told, like, just give the ball to the running back.
Sure. But on tape this week
Yes.
is going to be okay.
He can't do that this week. They
Right.
can't just tell him like just give the dive. Like we're gonna win. We're not worried about it. Like he has to keep some of them if he plays.
Do they go back to Brian if Prater plays and wins? Tyler, let me make something very clear. If Ben Bryant is healthy, he's the starting quarterback. That is not in question. I know you guys want it to be in question. It is not in question. So if Evan wins this week and Ben is healthy for UCF next week, Ben Bryant is the starting quarterback. That is Luke Fickell. That's who he is.
What's up, Mike Beers?
Dana? No, Mike. It's Mike.
Cousins.
Hey, Mike. Cousins, yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see Dana's tattoo?
He got the Bearcat with Skyline Chili. He's nuts. The dude is
I
nuts.
hope he got some sort of like deal with Skyline off of it. Like,
I would hope.
I'm gonna ink up my body with your spaghetti chili.
Tyler, there has been RPO in the offense all year.
In the red zone.
No, all year.
Oh, I just see zone read. I thought it said red zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's
RPO is a massive part of this offense.
Was on that.
RPO stands for run pass option.
But here's the thing. That type of play scares me with Evan more than it would scare me with Ben. Because type of play is the one where the linebacker just sits there and you don't see him and you just throw it right to him because he's inside on that glance route. And John Rice Plumlee did that against ECU. Like didn't even
just pulled it, threw it, and the linebacker was standing there waiting for it.
Yeah.
So zone read or read option is either hand it off or run it. RPO is hand it off or keep it and throw it. They're two totally different things. Ben has played and been asked to do a ton of RPO this year. He just hadn't been asked to do any zone read or read option because that ain't working. They tried it a couple times. No, it was made very clear in those couple times.
From a run game standpoint, you will see a Desmond Ridder style of running game.
Yes, I think it'll be more of the Desmond Ridder offense. And not Des 2021, because Des in 2021 was not keeping the zone read.
No.
He was running 7-8 times a game, and 4 or 5 of those were like scrambles. He was not a running quarterback in 2021.
He was told, I mean, I'm going to guess. He was told,
he told them, I'm not getting hit like I did in 2019.
Well, no, they probably said, we're not losing you on a play like that. We're not taking
I'm making a joke about 2019.
Just give it to our running back that ran for, 15.
Give it to the NFL running back.
Yeah, so I mean, I think
the tight end rollout is not necessarily a zone read, depending on which version of it they run. It's a RPO because there's a run pass option. That's what RPO stands for, run pass option. So of course that play is an RPO because the quarterback has the ability to either run it or pass it. RPO, run pass option. Zone read or read option is the quarterback deciding.
He reads the end. If the end crashes, he's supposed to keep it. If the end widens out, he's supposed to hand it off.
Are those two a little bit cloudy because there is a play action involved?
Yeah, because you can run that play with Wiley or Lenny coming across the formation
and hand it off to the
still hand it off, and he can block. He can glance that end.
Right.
So you could hand it off, you could keep it, and then run to the side and still then throw it to the tight end if you wanted to.
But that's not zone read. That's not.
No.
It's not what you're thinking it is. Those are two different things.
But anyway, this game, I'm going to do it again. beat them in Nippert, and then I will believe that they will get beaten in Nippert. I'm not picking them to lose this game. No chance in hell. They have now talent is not everything, but like they have way more talent than Tulane.
Yeah. Tulane looked, let's get back to UCF. Tulane looked slow against UCF.
They looked like they had no idea what they were doing either. And then we're not going to see the same thing as UCF, but like that was the startling part, was the magnitude of that game at home with the chance to basically, I mean, that was to lock up, essentially lock up the conference. At least going to the conference title game. Like, that was alarming to me, was how, like, unprepared they looked for what UCF was trying to do and how unathletic they looked compared to UCF, which UCF will do that to a lot of people.
No.
But I was more floored of like the not stepping up to the moment type situation. So what does that mean for Friday for them here?
There's going to be an immense amount of pressure on them in their first time in this situation, for sure. For sure. And we don't know. Like, is this now going to be like with UCF, Houston, Cincinnati leaving? Is this now going to be like the next wave of like, this is the big time program that like controls this conference going forward? Or are they not going to be ready for prime time? I think that's an absolutely fair question. Absolutely fair question.
I do too.
Jason wants to know if they run man or zone mainly, Dave.
I have no idea. This is the bad part of the whole like not.
We haven't played them in forever.
Well, we played them last year.
Well, but I mean, like, they were terrible last year. Like,
yes,
that game wasn't even
2-10. They were playing like a third string quarterback. No, this is the bad part of like this is our last year in this conference. Like, I don't give a shit enough about these teams to like watch them enough to know whether they're DBs or if they're a man team, a zone team. Do they play a lot of cover 2? Do they play a lot of cover 3? Like, I'll probably want to know more of that next year. But
sure.
But this is not something that I've cared to research too much.
Fair. You're going to pick Cincinnati.
I am.
What is your final score?
Oh, my final score. My final score will be Cincinnati 27, Tulane 24.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in that range. I don't know exactly where. I'm still with you. Like, they're not the Nippert championship on the line, championship game on the line. Like, you're the regular season champion in the conference. You get the home field advantage, and we know now, because UCF was ranked, if you lose, you're out. That's it.
Yeah.
You're going to Birmingham or Boston or back to the stupid military bowl. Like, you're done. So I'll have my prediction tomorrow. But I'm with you. I can't see a Cincinnati loss. I just can't. Simone family tailgate.
No idea.
No idea. You have nothing. You got nothing.
No, has not been a conversation that we've had yet. So I don't know what it is. The weather looks like it will be good. The rain appears to have moved out early morning. And we might even see a little sun, a little like high 40s, low 50s.
Yeah,
which for the end of November, I'm not going to complain about that one bit. So I know, part of me is like, God, it'd be great if it was like 14 degrees. That would bother them. And, if Evan's going to be the quarterback, the passing game is not going to be as big of a factor. But selfishly, I'm glad that it doesn't look like it's going to be raining all day. And
we're looking at
put our dudes up against their dudes and see what happens.
Weather.com right now says 53. Morning clouds will give way to sunshine for the afternoon.
Oh, breaking news. Breaking news.
What?
Breakfast tailgate.
Mom's listening.
She just texted me.
Breakfast tailgate.
Breakfast tailgate. Everybody was probably thinking I was going to say something else when I said breaking news.
Well, I mean, this is important.
I know, much more important than anything else I would say breaking news about.
Are we like scrambled eggs?
Probably
sausage?
Some sort of like egg casserole, hash brown casserole type thing. Donuts, bagels, mimosas, Bloody Marys, obviously Jello shots. I think I got a picture the other day of looking at like 200 Jello shots for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. You guys do a walk.
We got the double Jello shots Thanksgiving and then the day after.
Lambig says tortillas, Dave, and I agree. Like breakfast tacos, breakfast burritos. Just put the breakfast stuff in a tortilla, Mom.
She's listening. Maybe she will. I don't care. I'm just there to drink beer and do Jello shots and watch football.
You know what I want to do? Like after the other night, I did green chili enchiladas. I bet a green chili breakfast enchilada with like some eggs and chorizo would be phenomenal.
No doubt.
I have to try that sometime.
No doubt.
All right. So that's that for the most part. I think we need to get people ready for what's about to happen December 5th.
I tried to start it today.
I know you started a thread today. I want what like the Dave Simone belief on what's really about to happen December 5th.
Well,
and for those that are here and don't know, the transfer portal opens on December 5th.
But that's the technical open date.
Right.
It's open now. Like you can transfer if you're a grad transfer. You can announce now.
If there's a coach change, you're good.
There's obviously like the whole thing of like people talking about tampering anymore. Like, come on, like that's the whole. That's like on the same level of like don't tweet at recruits. It's a violation. Like, if you're not already lining up the guys that you want, then you may as well not even participate.
You're 30 steps behind. 30 steps behind.
But yes, technically, December 5th, the transfer portal for the FBS opens.
And let's explain the second part of this. So I think for UC, it's like January 14th. But
the window closes January 18th.
But I'm talking about for like to gain admission to UC. So if you enter the transfer portal, you're automatically eligible wherever you go. If you enroll by a certain date at that school, you are eligible to join the program and be active for the winter semester. So, which means you can participate in spring football, which means you can truly become like part of the program and integrate yourself into the program to try to get ready to be a contributing factor in the program for next season. So, December 5th to January 14th. But we are both of the belief that a whole bunch of this shit is going to happen real fast. when the transfer portal opens December 5th.
Because if you want to be enrolled at your new school when the spring semester starts, you no longer can, because the window you can make your decision whenever you want, but the window closes to actually get in at January 18th. But if you want to be in that next semester, you can't just sit around and tweet out all of these offers that you're getting.
Right.
Like, you basically have to make up your mind within a couple weeks.
Yes.
To make sure that everything, is aligned and you can make the move and everything. So, yeah, there's going to be visit weekends just like there always are. I'm sure they'll be heavy with transfers because they're not really recruiting very many high school kids anymore for this class. So
maybe that'll change if kids come back on the market because of coaching changes, and we'll see how wild the coaching carousel gets. So maybe that changes. But my understanding at this point is the focus is on the portal.
Yeah.
And guys, you don't have to worry about. I've heard no concerns about Brady Drogish. Jason Hewlett, it doesn't feel like that's trending in a great direction. I do think there's maybe an academic situation that could pop up with this class at some point. But really right now, Hewlett is the only other guy that feels like things are bubbling. Now we're still 2.5 weeks from signing day. So it's recruiting. We talked about this already. Who the fuck knows between now and signing day? But I'm just telling you, Brady, I've had no indication
that
things are sideways with Brady.
No,
Any hope with Jalen Thompson flipping, that is not a name I've heard pop back up. Although if I was him, I'd be looking at my options. Because that ain't going well. Did you see the thing today with Tuck?
Yes, $100,000.
Yeah, well, $100,000. He was supposed to be the point guard.
Yeah,
that's how you really get your people that work for you to believe in you, is to get $100,000 bonus that's meant for them, and to be like double birds. You ain't getting shit.
Yeah,
Tuck coming for that money.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is a prime time to hit the portal. You have you're transitioning into a new conference. I think you have to look at your roster and look at where do we need some more maturity? Where do we need some more? Right, but I'm just saying, this is the time to do it. Where they've been very. I mean, they've been with. I mean, the portal's only
they've been
really
active, but they've been.
It's only really
specific.
been a thing for 1 year.
2, I would say 2.
But it wasn't but these new rules make it totally different. It was still very much of the old transfer model. Was not the way that it is now.
I agree.
I just think they'll be more active. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to get guys. You don't just take guys to take guys. Because also that's the other part about the portal now is that if you take a kid, that's a scholarship for the fruition of his career. Whether
if you take a redshirt freshman, he's on you.
He's on your not 85. On the team anymore. That still counts.
He's on your 85 the rest of the way.
Do we want to make predictions?
Not yet, because I don't.
Part of it also has to do with who.
Let's take a wild guess.
It also has to deal with how many who leaves too.
Yeah, a wild guess.
Because they're going to have, reality is they're going to have guys leave. Oh, I can give you a wild guess because I already started a in and out sheet.
Don't let the people see it.
Oh, I'm not going to.
Keep that shit safe, Dave. Come on.
I will say I'm not going to give you predictions on numbers leaving.
Okay.
I will say that they bring in 7 transfers.
Oddly enough, without any like in and out sheet or anything, 7 was the number I had in mind. That's the number I settled at, 7. If I had to bet, okay, here's the fun one. Over under 7.5. You're taking the under? You're taking the over. Me too.
But that's only because I think the number going out will end up being higher because we hear things, but this is very preliminary, and those decisions can change minds, and there can be so that's why I think that.
I will also say I go over because there is a second window after spring ball.
Sure, I mean it's in April, so
I think the number is going to be 7.
Right, because you could have a situation where a kid is fine right now, but then he goes through spring ball and he's like, I'm third on the depth chart and I'm a junior or whatever, I'm going to transfer now.
Right. So then you get to the spring, say you have 2 or 3 guys leave, which is what happens every spring, and now you've got this 2-week transfer window where you can be like, all right, well, we got 3 more to play with. Because the only number that matters now, this is important to remember for the people that aren't, and it's hard for us sometimes to understand this, Dave, but there are a lot of people that don't or are new to dealing with this.
I wish I was them.
They need they need everything put out there for them. There used to be a 25 was it. You can't take any more than 25. High school recruits, transfers, whatever. The NCAA changed it, and now the only thing that matters is you get 85 scholarships on your team. That's all that matters. So if you hit 85, by the start of the winter semester, okay, you're good. But then you go through spring ball, and then all of a sudden, 3 more guys leave your program that you weren't expecting for whatever reason. And now you're at 82, which means you can go get 3 more. Now you're always, the only thing that matters is 85. 85 scholarship players.
I'll answer this one. Percentage that are MAC level guys like Ivan. It could be FCS guys.
It could be FCS guys, right?
There's those guys are their window is already open, and I know they're already. You got to remember, Dino Boyd was an FCS guy from Rhode Island.
Answer questions for a second.
James Tunstall was an FCS guy in a roundabout way from Stony Brook through UConn. There's FCS. There's an FCS receiver that had 1,300 yards this year that I think has already gotten 15 offers, and he's been in the portal for a day. So, MAC, FCS, Power 5, these guys are going to come from wherever they think they can help them from. Any chance Prater looks at transfer options? Is he realistically going? I have no idea. I'm not going to. I can't speculate on any of the current guys looking to go out. I don't have those type of conversations. That's Chad deals with that side of things, but we're not going to say one way or the other on anybody that's currently on the roster.
Can we get through the next couple weeks?
Right.
We don't even know. Come on, guys.
Who do you think the Bearcats are targeting in the transfer portal? Michael Beers. There is a thread on this on the board. So I suggest you go check that out.
And again, just a friendly reminder that Bearcat Journal right now through Black Friday is 75% off for the year. So I don't think it gets much better than that as far as the discounts go. Enjoy that, you knuckleheads.
It doesn't. It
It's
doesn't.
basically $2 a month. You can get Bearcat Journal for $2 a month right now.
Do you see Mike Cummings looking for his guys in the portal, or is it more for skill positions in the portal? Yes and yes.
Yes, both of those things will happen. Is Rayvon signing this weekend? Well, is Rayvon having his signing ceremony this weekend? Yes. Y'all need to do a live show with us members. That's what we do every week, right? Whatever happened to the kid on the offensive line that went to school with Luther? Come on, Lambig.
What do you think? What do you think happened, Lambig?
What do you think happened?
But it at least will be. I mean, I don't know if it'll be exciting because I don't know if like the transfers don't do like it's not like a signing day type thing, but it'll at least bring like a little excitement to recruiting, which we haven't had in forever because every class has been
done in the summer.
And they've rarely had anybody decommit, and there's never any signing day surprises. So at least like if we have some official visit weekends, there'll be guys that no one's really, heard about because it's not like we've been recruiting them for 6 months and then now they're coming on their visit when their season's over and stuff like that.
This is what's going to be wild. The portal opens on December 5th, quote unquote. Like, yes, but the portal officially opens on December 5th. Do you want to know how much if you really want an indication on how much is going on behind the scenes across all of college football right now, just wait and see how many transfers are on official visits
3 days later.
3 days later.
And if you come on an official visit and you don't commit, you may as well, like, that guy's not coming here.
Right.
They're on to the next person.
Right. Well, and the kid is on to the next school.
Right. So, yeah, like if they don't commit, if they're not, if they're not in, if they take a visit and they're not in, like, don't think that guy is done.
I know, but Lambic says I know, but I had to ask. I remember saying the head coach was pissed. Yeah, he was pissed that what Luther did. But I don't think they're going to be dealing with the way that they do things at that school is that they want the kids to wait all the way to the second signing period and to not make any decisions in the window that most schools want decisions made. And so maybe in some bizarro world, maybe that comes back around in February for the second signing day, but I doubt it.
No, I think that they're, an offensive lineman, I don't think that they're interested in signing any more high school offensive linemen.
I will tell you this, Dave. That kid in person was a very large human being. So maybe. I don't know, maybe. But I doubt it.
Is he like a 21-year-old very large human being that's started 2 seasons of college football?
No, but he was like, we know what a Mike Cummings kid looks like.
Yeah.
That was what I envisioned a Mike Cummings kid looked like. He was like 6'7" and looked like he was chiseled out of stone.
Yeah.
Like he got out of his car on his official visit and I was like, what the shit was that? Like, that kid's 18? Holy shit. Where's Luther going to end up? Bearcat 12? I don't know. And I don't give a fuck.
No.
Don't care. I'm not spending one waking moment wondering or looking or trying to figure out where Luther's going to end up.
No, but I mean, I think the positions are obvious that they would be targeting. I mean, you're looking for
O-line, D-line.
O-line, D-line, You're probably looking at a tight end. With two guys with a lot of experience leaving, and then some promising guys, but not a lot of experience at all.
Right.
And then you're just looking for relationships and talent. You're looking at how can we better the roster, and who do we have an existing relationship with that we feel. That's the other thing is like a lot of these guys you would think they'd have a relationship with, but I think there's going to be so many guys that I don't know if that also holds true.
Right. All right. That's the transfer portal stuff. One more question, and Jason Cooper asked it, so I'm going to direct it at you because I don't think anything about it. You're the Stephen Godfrey guy. Chad, what do you think about Stephen Godfrey's talk about the Nebraska coaching search? Here's what I think, Jason. I think Dave called me and told me about it, and that is all I have thought about it. So I will let Dave handle this.
I mean, I put on the board what I thought about it.
So BearcatJournal.com, 75% off a year subscription right now. If you're here and you've been a fan of the podcast, you can get for basically $25, you can get a full year of Dave's thoughts on Stephen Godfrey's podcast.
I mean, I think that in a real quick way, because I'm not going to turn this into like a super big discussion. I mean, I think Nebraska would be foolish not to try.
Sure.
I think it doesn't make a ton of sense for Luke. And then I also think that Stephen Godfrey doesn't put names out just to put names out. So it's how do you kind of work all those things together?
Right. That's fair.
I don't think it's like anything more than that right now. We don't have any reason to think it's anything more than that. And
if you're a Bearcat Journal member, the publisher of the Nebraska site showed up on the board and gave his thoughts.
Yeah.
And if you would like to know those thoughts, Bearcat Journal is available at 75% off for a full year right now is our Black Friday sale. Am I doing all right, Aaron?
Yes.
It's a start.
Like and subscribe. If you're here, like and subscribe.
What about the Black Friday sale for home field?
Also a Black Friday sale for home field apparel. Make sure you hit up homefieldapparel.com and check out the UC collection, which is phenomenal. I meant to go grab a shirt to wear, but I forgot. So I'm just in my crew neck. But they have great UC gear and my favorite hoodie, which is the UC hoodie that's in the collection. So go get those as well. Homefieldapparel.com.
Good job.
You're the best.
I try.
No, but I mean, I think, I look at these types of things obviously differently than most fans do. You take the info and you do your due diligence, but is it a little something? Is it a big something? I don't know. I'm not real concerned. If it turns into a big something, then we'll talk about it. But it doesn't. I don't think it needs. It was just one comment of, stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to Dave's thoughts on Thanksgiving.
It should be canceled.
It should be canceled.
You should still get the day off, and there should still be football.
No, you get most people get 2 days off, right? Thursday and Friday.
Yeah. I mean,
your take is turkey is trash.
No,
right?
I actually love turkey. I like it on sandwiches when it's cold. My take is that I enjoy all the traditional Thanksgiving sides, but I don't want them all at the same time because they all have the same consistency. And it's like
mushy?
Eating for babies and old people.
I don't disagree there.
And there was one. We did have an unfortunate situation when my grandparents moved into their assisted living facility, we thought it would be a nice gesture to go there as a family for Thanksgiving.
Oh God.
And it was certainly a nice gesture. It was not a nice dinner. And my brother and I, from that moment on, were kind of like, yeah, this isn't really our thing anymore. And it was also, my other grandparents lived in New York, and we used to go to this Italian restaurant that had like stations and buffet, and you could get the traditional Thanksgiving food if you wanted.
Sure.
But then you also had the pasta, the pizza, the chicken wings, the prime rib, the gnocchi, all of that stuff. So my brother and I would just eat that. I hate to break it to you, Joshua, but none of the things that we eat were actually served at Thanksgiving. So we stole all those things too. And nope, I'm not a parade guy, crypt keeper. I don't know what I'm out. Like, I just want to watch football, drink some wine, and just eat have a normal meal. I don't need mashed potatoes, mashed sweet potatoes, stuffing, creamed corn, green bean casserole, broccoli cauliflower casserole. Like, why do all of those things have macaroni and cheese? Why do they all have to be served at the same time?
Well, it's because there's like 30 people at your family Thanksgiving, and everybody's expected to bring something. So, so there was a period. Let me tell you this. There was a period where my family asked me to do the stuffing, and I don't like stuffing. Okay, so I was doing like cornbread stuffing, like sausage and apple stuffing. Like, I was doing some wild shit with the stuffing.
Trying to get them to tell you, like, don't do it anymore?
Well, no, because I don't like traditional stuffing.
Right.
It's just wet bread.
Yeah.
It's just mushy bread. Okay. So I was trying to like up the stuffing game in my family.
Yes.
I even did a year, Dave, and I would recommend 1,000% everybody try this at some point in time. Take that wet, mushy shit that is supposed to be your stuffing, and you know what you do with it, Dave?
What?
You put it in a waffle iron.
There you go.
And you waffle that shit, okay? And then it goes down on the plate as the base, as a waffle.
Yeah, then
stuffing waffle.
Then you make like an old school, like high school turkey hot shot with some mashed potatoes, some turkey, some gravy on top of it. I could do that.
It was awesome. It was awesome. It's the best stuffing I've ever had.
The best Thanksgiving that we've had lately was COVID, when I used COVID as an excuse for not being able to go to family dinner, and we ordered Jeff Ruby's, and I made steak.
You made steaks,
and crab legs, and I made mashed potatoes and creamed spinach, and but we did the whole Jeff Ruby thing. I was like, this is the best Thanksgiving. Like, I just used the pandemic as an excuse not to have to go eat all that stuff.
If I had my way, I would do like a 5-rack bone-in prime rib, smoked prime rib for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But that shit is like $190.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not paying $190 to feed my whole family prime rib. I did that once, and they weren't they were still going for the turkey and the ham and the bullshit. I'm done spending $200. I'm not going to do this again. I'm not spending $200 to put a delicious smoked prime rib as an option when everybody was kind of like just glossing over the fact that I went to Jungle Gyms and got like an awesome 5-bone prime rib and sliced it up for the whole family. And everybody was just like, I'm here for turkey and stuffing. Like, all right, I'm done with y'all. I'm going to do the ham. So now I'm doing the ham. I'm making a maple brown sugar bourbon glaze for the ham.
See, I don't do ham either.
Well, but you can get a ham for like $30,
right?
Like,
yeah.
I'm doing the ham. That's what I'm doing. Like I'm tired of trying to elevate Thanksgiving for my family.
So like my thing is like, why don't you just like make the best things that you make? And isn't the point of Thanksgiving to like get everybody together, not necessarily like what you're eating? So like, why can't you have like, a beef tenderloin and all these other like good things versus
Right.
purees of baby food
my argument was stuffing. Everybody is like, what's your number one side at Thanksgiving? And they're like, stuffing.
Ugh.
And I'm like, why do you only eat that shit one time a year?
If it's so good, you'd make it all the time.
Right? And guess what? There is a generic, you could go get a box of stovetop and have stuffing at your house any fucking night of the year. And you know what nobody does? How is stovetop still in business?
Like, what do you
because
want?
Nobody buys. They have one day where they sell stovetop stuffing.
Like here, when you and your spouse or your whatever your significant other can't decide on dinner, has anyone ever said, "God damn it, you know what I could really go for tonight is some stuffing"?
Well, they've said that, but it's never been about food.
Well, true. That's what you get when it's 11:47 at night. But yeah, like that's like all the other elements of the dinner I enjoy, just not all at the same time. Like right. I like mashed potatoes. I like sweet potatoes.
Green bean casserole is trash.
I even can get on some green bean casserole, but I don't want it while I'm also eating 6 other things that have the same consistency.
One day they're in the black, and that covers the rest of the year. That's absolutely right on stovetop stuffing, Lambig. Josh, I'm telling you, waffle stuffing was unbelievable. You do all the things that you would do, and then before you put it in the oven, instead of putting it in the oven, you put it in a waffle maker, and you make a goddamn waffle.
Why do you have to have the disgrace that is the cranberry sauce in the can? Like, you just shake it out, and it's got the imprints of the can still right? on it. Like, just don't have
This is where I draw the line. You stop it with the cranberry blasphemy.
Cranberry sauce.
Why don't you make get some cranberries and make some cranberries?
If you make it with like
if you know, Chad.
Orange.
I know it sucks. I've had it. It's so terrible.
Good. So I can't wait tomorrow. That's my favorite tomorrow.
No, but I'll be eating lasagna, toasted ravioli, shrimp cocktail, and then I'll have a little turkey because I just enjoy a little bit of turkey. I'll have a little mashed potato with gravy, and that's pretty much it. And then whatever other like appetizer type things, we have. But I can't load up my plate with, with all of that stuff at the same time.
Thunder, you're going deep here. I mentioned there was a number 1 candidate to be the head coach before the board nixed that and Bone with the UC Brandon hire. It was Frank Martin. They were getting ready to hire Frank Martin. They had a plane ready. They were going to go pick him up and bring him back to Cincinnati, announce him as the head coach. But he was involved in the FBI stuff, and 2, he's a shitty head coach. So they nixed it. There you go. There's your answer. It was not Van Exel or Patino. It was Frank Martin. They wanted to get the band back together. Huggs wanted to flex his influence on UC and have Frank Martin be the head coach, much like he wanted to do with Eric Martin and Nick Van Exel. And guess what? Bob Huggins wouldn't piss on UC if UC was on fire. He does not get to pick the head coach.
Catching strays about the not being the state guy thing will never die. Which I'm like, hey, you like what you like, you don't like what you don't like. I don't care.
But Aaron doesn't like steak.
But I don't like Thanksgiving food. I'm sure a ton of people think that that's ridiculous.
But guess what, Dave? We eat Thanksgiving food once a year. I eat steak 5 times a month.
I could eat steak once
30 times a month. If steak was more reasonable to eat, I would eat steak 30 times a month.
No, I would like a Thanksgiving where you get it's kind of like the 7 fishes of the Italian Christmas. You just have 7 different meats.
Right.
You got chicken wings, ribs, steak, pork tenderloin, Like,
pulled pork, brisket.
just give me all the meats and like a couple of the sides.
The sides are so overrated.
So,
Like I purposely tanked stuffing only so you know how like sometimes
even the mains are overrated. Like the turkey and the ham, I think most people like. I would much rather have it on get a ciabatta roll, the turkey, some good cheese, put it in the oven. Like I'd much rather have my turkey like that than just like 2 little pieces of turkey that are like lukewarm with some gravy poured on them.
So did you ever? We're going off the rails here. Did you ever go to Fred and Gary's
downtown?
Yeah,
I have been there. I only get Italian sandwiches.
Okay, their Italian sandwiches, the best one of the top 3 Italian sandwiches I've ever had. But their turkey was like Thanksgiving turkey, but like sliced like thick. But it was like turkey, right? Like it was, and you got Thanksgiving turkey on a sandwich.
Yeah,
like a real, like legit, great homemade bread and like whatever you wanted on it. And that turkey was the shit. The shit.
Yeah.
Better than like what you eat at Thanksgiving in
Right.
99% of the households across America.
Yeah, Darren knows what's up. This was like my Italian restaurant thing. It was like the Italian, it was like the Italian version of a Brazilian steakhouse.
Yeah. Jason Cooper said 7 different cuts of steak. Yeah, that's a Brazilian steakhouse. That's what that is.
Give me with the sausage. Maybe we can start our own the Bearcat Journal Thanksgiving tradition.
The Feast of the 7 Steaks.
And then you add and I love the desserts.
That's the Bearcat Journal tradition, Dave. The Feast of the 7 Steaks.
That's right.
You want to hear a great story? One great story before
I'm sure
we get out of
here.
here.
Tell it whether I tell you I want to hear it or not.
I promised we weren't going to go 2 hours, and we're at 2 hours. I had to get I wanted. The one thing I was missing in my ham recipe was like that turbino sugar.
Oh yeah.
So that when you sprinkle that on top, it's like like a honey baked ham. It gives that you do it at the end and it kind of melts in and you get that crunchy sugar taste. So I went to, I had radio today to record some stuff and I went to Fresh Market, which is right there in Kenwood, to get the sugar. And as I was walking towards the sugar, my favorite dessert is chocolate silk pie.
Okay.
Like that, just that, that rich, creamy.
Yeah.
And so I was walking past the dessert section on my way to the sugar, and they had a full chocolate silk pie. And I was like, oh, that'll be pretty good for we'd take that over and just have an extra dessert for Thanksgiving. And I brought it home and I was like, I got a chocolate silk pie. I told Kelly, I was like, I got a chocolate silk pie to take over to my aunt's. And Kelly was like, would you be mad if we don't take it? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I think I want some of that tonight.
Bring half of it.
So the question is, can you bring half a pie to
you can do whatever you want
to Thanksgiving?
Sure.
Because they ate half of that shit, and I haven't even had a piece. I want a piece here before I go to bed, but I haven't had a piece. I brought it home. The thought was there that we're going to take it over to the family tomorrow, and my family was like, nah, dog, we're going to eat that right here in this house tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even bring it.
Oh,
you're just giving out your pie to other people.
I think that's probably what's going to happen is that when we get home tomorrow night, that pie, the half of that pie is going to be in the fridge, and that's going to be dessert.
Yes, because that's the other thing. I could go on about this topic for so long. It's like the leftovers. You know what's worse than all that shit at the same time on Thanksgiving Day? All that shit 3 days later when you've warmed it up 4 more fucking times.
The only thing I really do is a leftover. My uncle makes phenomenal turkey. I've talked about this multiple times. He roasts it in one of those old 1950 roasting pans. When it gets done, he takes it out. He pulls it all. He puts it back in the roasting pan with all the juices. And then that's the turkey we get, which is like super tender and moist because it's roasted and then put in the juices. So I will eat at least one, usually two leftover turkey sandwiches from my uncle's turkey. That's it. I don't really eat any, like that's the only leftovers I eat. Dave, why are you causing a panic? Oh, man. We do this, we do something like this every year where Dave gives his thoughts.
I have my food takes, man. It's like, I like my food, and this is not one of the days that I'm especially look. Are
you the same way on Christmas?
No, because my mom, holy cow, man, she does more work for Christmas. I mean, and it is.
I can only imagine.
It's not like a Christmas dinner, like sit down thing, but we have. It's more of like a grazing situation. You get one of this, one of this, you know. But no, we have. I mean, we can get into that at another time when we're not.
We'll get to Christmas. We'll get it. We'll continue this conversation.
But no, that if I could have that meal for Thanksgiving, I would love that.
Yeah. Matt wants to know, when do they come back from Hawaii? From what I've heard, they'll be back Friday at some point. I think they'll hang out at least for a portion of tomorrow, and then maybe like tomorrow night they get on a plane and fly back and just kind of like sleep on the plane. They don't play again until Wednesday.
Red eye.
A week, yeah. It's a charter, so. Right. Just fly back on the charter and crash on the charter, and they got a couple days when they get back. So I believe most of tomorrow, at least, they'll be able to hang out in Hawaii. They're not going to have to get on a plane tonight, from my understanding. So,
Burr Owens, listen about 20 minutes prior to now. You'll get my brief little additional comment regarding what you're asking.
And if you want to know Dave's other thoughts, you can become a member of Bearcat Journal and save 75% on a whole year of membership. That's roughly $25 to be a member of Bearcat Journal for a whole year. Deviled eggs, yes or no?
100% yes. Love them.
I don't hate them. I don't love them.
They have a time and a place.
Yeah, like I'm not walking in and beelining for the deviled eggs. But if they're there and like I'm in the mood, I will have a deviled egg. I don't dislike them at all.
Yeah. So I think that about covers it.
Yeah, we still got to do a nightcap. So it's 3 keys. We got to do 3 keys. I'm not doing it tomorrow night. I can guarantee you that. So we got to do 3 keys. We covered the basketball game for like 50 minutes. I don't think we have to do that. David, you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know it's your favorite holiday. It's number 1 at the top of your list.
Yes.
You have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will see you at some point.
Yes. So yes, thank you everyone. Hopefully we have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving and a wonderful, wonderful Friday.
Lambig said deviled eggs are slick throat missiles for more mush. They are mushy.
Yes.
You do make a great argument that all the Thanksgiving stuff is just stuff that you don't like. You just gum it and swallow it.
Oh God! Don't.
That's the BCJ podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail. They don't serve anything that's mush at the Holy Grail.
No.
See you next time right here on BearcatJournal.com.